Alright, this is your homie Maloyski777, and today is part 1 of the walkthrough for Newbie Eternal Evolution players, which particularly are, or in this case, gamers or players who are just within their first few weeks of playing Eternal Evolution. So as you can see here, I'm only on day 5 of the game. But so far, these are my lineup or my heroes. I already have an Immortal Arthas and a bunch of epic and mythic heroes, legendary, one legendary. And then in terms of Lost Valley, I'm already at level 9, working on level 10 of Cinsaro Marsh. The same for Deesa Caves, and at level 7, working towards level 8 of Terra Dome. And finally, for the next Soul Mine, I'm already at floor 200, and lastly at the Ancient Altar, I have already beaten Novice and easy game modes. So from there, I'm already giving you a foreshadowing or a sort of foreplay of the meat of this video, or this part 1 of the walkthrough for Newbie, which basically we are going to focus on what you need to do to be able to overcome the first few game modes that you really need to work on, which are the Lost Valley, Soul Mine, and the Ancient Altar. So first of all, before anything else, or before I move on to that, I'd like to first highlight the missions page. So here, as much as possible, do your daily, do your stage missions, do your achievement missions to have or to continuously obtain different kinds of resources that you will use for the game to strengthen your hero. So here we have a diamond. So at stage 43, we have diamonds and a copy of Rakana as the reward. And at the same time, this is also a source for limited recruitment cards, advanced recruitment cards, and of course the basic recruitment cards, which they gave out per 10 pieces or per 10 items almost each time, or a lot of times. So there, from there, most of the missions are basically story, campaign, elite campaign, border, leveling up the heroes, has to do with evolving your heroes. So first of all, with that, we should know that hero XP is needed to level up your heroes, and gold. So this missions page is a good source for that, hero XP and gold. And then moving on, we have the Soul Mine. Here, the Soul Mine is a good source of Soul Rubelite. So at some point, every 10-20 levels, something like that, so at some point you will need a Soul Rubelite to advance your hero level. So that is something you should be quite aware of. If you're just new into the game, you should work on having these three resources. So aside from that, we also have the hero shards. Another important aspect, the hero shards. You should get hero shards as much as possible to get more copies of hero, which you will then use to evolve your heroes in this game. And then of course we have the equipment. And from here, we are now going to move on to the Lost Valley. So here, especially Deesa Caves, that is your source of equipment, items, as well as there's also hero shards, there's equipment upgrade materials. At the same time, you also have the chance to get limited, advanced, and cards and diamonds from this game mode. And aside from that, we also have Cinsaro Marsh, also diamonds, also limited recruitment cards and advanced recruitment cards. But here, we also have, or the unique aspect of this game mode is the mythic or the commander rewards and commander upgrade item rewards. So if you're looking for commander items, Cinsaro Marsh is the place to go to. So finally, we have the Terra Dome, which also gives out diamonds and cards. But here we now have the prototypes, divine prototypes. So we use this we all use these items here we get from these game modes to strengthen our lineups. So with that, let's move on to for example, formation. So here, let me show you. This is the commander. So that you use the commander to upgrade or to strengthen your. So for example, this one, we use grace or we can use grace. So as you can see, the CP or the power of the lineup increased because I equipped the commander. And at the same time here, these are the divine prototypes, which as mentioned earlier, you will get from the Lost Valley game mode. So alright, so and then moving on, let's move on to the, so let me talk again a bit about Soul Mine. So here, as mentioned, you get the Soul Rubelite. This is one of your main sources for Soul Rubelite, especially at the beginning of the game. Okay, so once you need Soul Rubelites, Soul Mine is the place to go to within these first few days or weeks of the game. And then finally, we have the Ancient Altar from the border. So here, Ancient Altar is practically will be your main source of limited recruitment cards. So you have to beat each level, and as you beat each level, you get to gain more limited recruitment cards, most especially because of this. So every week here, let me show you. So every week, the Ancient Altar resets. So every week, you only have 5 tickets overall to use to challenge the bosses in this game mode. So it's as much as possible, it's better that when you use your tickets, you have to deal as much damage as possible. So one strategy you can use for this is to do this a day before the reset. So for the first few days, you can just strengthen your hero lineups first, and then within the day before the reset, that's the time that you should use your tickets or your challenge tickets, because that's the time where you are able to have evolve or have strengthened your lineups as much as possible for that said week. Alright, so here at day 5, I was able to beat novice and easy already. So far, that's just some introductions. That's just some basic introductions to these game modes. Let's move on to a more complicated topic, which is the hero lineup. So here, for one of the the first game mode that you will be spending time on is the campaign or the story stage. And here, at the start of the game, it's best to use the energy lineups first. At the same time, it's the one that's going to be most available to you early in the game, especially because of the recruit trial, or one of the reasons is the recruit trial, where you use Falvia as or the goal is to be able to use Falvia and achieve different kinds of missions which will reward you with different items. So it's important, or it's recommended, highly recommended, that you also, or early into the game, you should work on the recruit trial. And from here, your story challenge. So here, my main lineup, my strongest lineup so far is the energy, which works really well with the campaign. So because of this lineup that I made, I'm already able to reach chapter 18, or story stage 18, chapter 28 of the campaign mode. So that was able to get me very far in the achievement levels already. So I was able to get a lot of resources, equipments, hero copies, just because I was able to work on this. And moving on, the next crucial part is the elite campaign, where from here you now need 2 teams. So from the campaign you move on, you will need 2 teams per game to beat the hero lineups from the enemy. However, for this, it's not unlimited. You only get about 8 tickets every day, plus if you choose to purchase some tickets. So that's why you won't be able to move on as fast as you can, as compared to the campaign, which is practically, anytime. You have unlimited number of turns. Okay, so from campaign to elite campaign, and now the border. So here in the border, the main lineups that you will use, thankfully, is first of all energy. So here, Cinsaro Marsh, you will be able to use your energy lineup from campaign. So it works really well. It is really recommended that you start with an energy hero lineup, because you'll be able to make use of it as well here in the border, or in the Cinsaro Marsh game mode, which consequently is the first game mode available to you when it comes to the Lost Valley game modes. So moving on, Deesa Caves, it's recommended that you use a hunter lineup. Here, the priority is to have high attack speed. So if you don't have hunter heroes yet, it's okay to start with your energy, as long as the CP. So for example, here at level 9, I was able to beat the 522.2k 5k using the hunter lineup. But anyway, what's important, if you're going to use other classes here, you have to keep in mind the CP. Okay, so if you have a higher CP than the level boss, then you can be able to manage to conquer it. However, as you move on to higher levels, right, so in the first few levels, it's okay to use whatever lineup you're available with. But as the more that you move on, okay, the higher level that you move on, the more that you will need hunter heroes for this. Okay, take note of that. And then finally, Terra Dome, we have to use melee lineup. So here, at the start of the game, you won't have a lot of assassins, you won't have a lot of vanguards, nor melee heroes such as this. So what you can do is mix and match for the meantime, which works best with a Hagradon commander, by the way. Oh yes, speaking of which, the hunter, it's best to use Carmota, and with the energy, it's best to use Grace as the commander. Okay, so as of course, apart from that, it's important to take note of the divine prototype. So here, as much as possible, read the descriptions, which heroes benefit. So here I'm using Chaos Chip because it benefits the Vanguard Assassin. So as much as possible, use the prototypes that are most beneficial for your heroes per game mode. Right? And then finally, of course, Soul Mine, you can just use your most powerful lineup, your most powerful hero lineup. You just need one lineup for that, so no need to like worry too much about what line as long as you use the strongest lineup you have. And finally, Ancient Altar. So Ancient Altar comes much later into the game as compared to Lost Valley. So basically, you can start with your lineups that you have with coming from Lost Valley. However, here it's a bit different because now you need 3 at once. So Lost Valley earlier, you will need different lineups, but from one per game mode, just one per game mode, but 3 different lineups. But here, it's one game mode and 3 lineups at the same time. So here, of course, it's much more difficult because here you have to produce 3 lineups, 3 of your best lineups at the same time. And here, I highly recommend for team 1 for you to have to build a energy lineup. For team 2, well, actually, you can just read the recommended heroes on this left side. See, for team 2, summon heroes because the barrier for the barrier thing. But so far, I only have Muka and Senway. But we can make use of that. It's okay. We can start with that. Moving on the last part, we have single target damage hero, which can be either assassin or hunter. Okay, so those are the things you should take note of early into the game. Within just a few days into the game, a few weeks into the game, these game modes will be your foundation. These will be the sources for the main items that you need for founding or building your hero lineups in Eternal Evolution. Alright, so I'm not going to keep this any longer. I'm going to end this video now for today. I hope you absorbed something. I hope you got something from this. And just to show you guys whether I'm doing well, here my ranking in the Grand Ceremony event is at number 2 so far. So yeah, somehow, okay, my strategies have been working. So there's a result to my strategies in terms of building resources and doing the missions and doing well in the game, even if it's just at the first few days. Okay, so thank you very much. Maloyski777 signing out for now.